There is a secret no one tells high achieving women. The more disciplined you become, the easier it is to lose your life inside your own structure. Not because discipline is bad, but because at some point discipline stops being the engine and starts being the walls. It replaces something much more important: joy. Because at some point, being optimized stop feeling like living. I've always been organized. Honestly, when I say organized, that's probably an understatement. I'm the kind of person who naturally creates structure, sets priorities, and gets things done efficiently. Even as a child, I would come home from school, plan exactly when I would do my homework, when I would practice, when I would go outside, and when I would just play or spend time with friends. I'm the person who has the priorities set before the coffee is even brewed. And this stayed with me through the faculty years, through my career, through motherhood. And even today, it shows up in the smallest moments. Some time ago, my mom came to visit. I just finished my workday and I had already done so many things: ironing clothes, filling forms for kids' school, making something to eat, feeding the dog, making her coffee, and so on. And my mom just stood there watching me and said, "You've done more in 30 minutes than I would do in 2 days." And for me, that's natural. That's how I function. To me, that's just my inner compass. I do the automated stuff fast so I can get to the joyful stuff. You see, I have a very clear sense of where I want to go, what I want to build, and what matters to me. So I do the structured things quickly so I can create space for things that brings me joy. And that's an important distinction because discipline, when it supports your life, can be incredibly powerful. But there is also a trap in it. Sometimes the automated stuff takes over the whole map. The problem is not discipline itself. The problem is when discipline becomes your identity, when everything in your life becomes efficient, productive, optimized, controlled. And suddenly, there is no space left for being a human, no space for boredom, no space for curiosity, no space for spontaneously, no space for joy that doesn't have a purpose. And I'll be really open with you here. There were moments in my life where everything worked perfectly on the outside, but inside I felt like I was just moving through a system I created. Everything was organized, everything was functioning, but something was missing. I didn't feel fully alive. I didn't realize there was another way to live until I stopped judging my daughter's lack of focus and started actually watching her. And then I realized there is another way. What I now call the wisdom of the undisciplined. I see the alternative every day in my daughter. And by traditional standards, she is the opposite of disciplined. She's the complete opposite of me. When she sits down for homework, she doesn't power through. Every 15 minutes, she stops. She stands up. She does three or four gymnastics figures, a backflip, a stretch, a handstand. She moves. She resets. And she comes back. She follows what her body's telling her. And what would take me 1 hour takes her three. And for a long time, I thought, this is so inefficient, inefficient. Like an 1 hour task is taking me three. But then I realized, and while really looking at her, she wasn't being lazy. She listens to her nervous system. And when the pressure builds, she moves it out of her body. She doesn't override her human needs for the sake of a clock. And what I call lack of discipline was actually a high level intelligence I had forgotten. And she wasn't choosing to be slow, she was choosing to stay vibrant. I realized what we often label as lack of discipline is actually intelligence we lost. You see, discipline asks, how much can I push? And joy asks, what brings me back to life? And the truth is, most people don't need more discipline. They need more moments when they feel alive again. What I see in so many women I work with is not a lack of structure, is the opposite. They are extremely capable, extremely responsible, extremely disciplined, but they're also tired, disconnected, low on energy, and not enjoying their, their own life anymore. And that's what happens when discipline turns into a cage. When your day is so structured, so planned, so optimized that there is no space left for you, no space to choose, no space to feel, no space to breathe. And this is where we need to shift something, not by removing discipline, but by changing your relationship with it. Because there is a difference between discipline that creates freedom and discipline that removes it. Healthy discipline says, I've taken care of what matters, so I can live. Unhealthy discipline says, I must do everything before I'm allowed to live. And most people are living in the second one. So if you feel tired, unmotivated, moving through a system of your own making, you don't need a new planner. You need micro moments of awe. You're not lacking discipline. You're lacking moments that make you feel alive. Not more routines, not more optimization, but movement, music, experiences that you don't manage, but actually feel. You don't need to earn your joy after the list is finished because the list is never finished. And your life isn't waiting for you at the end of your productivity. It's happening in the gymnastic breaks between, in the pauses, in the movement, in the moments where you stop controlling and start experiencing. That's why more and more people today are not looking for stricter routines. They are looking for experiences, movement, music, connection, laughter, travel, dance. Moments where they can feel something again. Because after years of structure, what people are actually starving for is not productivity, it's aliveness. And you don't need permission to feel alive. You don't need to earn your joy after everything is done. When was the last time you did something not because it was useful, not because it was productive, not because it moved your life forward, but simply because it made you feel alive? If you have to think about it, that tells you everything. And this is not about becoming undisciplined. This is about not living only from discipline. Because structure should support your life, not replace it. And the most powerful shift is not adding more, it's allowing something back in: joy, spontaneity, presence. So the real question is not, how do I become more disciplined? The real question is, where did I stop allowing joy? And what would happen if you let it back in? My challenge for you today is, don't be more disciplined, be more spontaneous. Find one moment of aid that has absolutely no productive value. Stop living like a sister and start living like a human. Until the next time, pause, listen inward, and remember, coming home to yourself isn't a destination, it's a practice. Welcome home.